Hi guys, my name is Tal and welcome back to my channel. I hope your week is off to an amazing start. So in today's video, I am gonna talk about my personal journey. Why am I talking about my personal journey? So recently on the channel, I've noticed I posted about the student status video, and I noticed there's been a lot of back and forth regarding that video, and there's been a lot of anger and frustration with the student status rule for affordable housing. So I've been in the comments responding and so forth, and also being empathetic regarding persons that may have been impacted by this rule. So I know I've shared my story in multiple videos, but I've always done that throughout a video. So maybe someone on this channel haven't gotten to that video as yet, or they probably did not watch the whole video to hear my story. So this is my story that I'm about to share with you. And the reason I'm sharing this story is to, one, let you guys know why affordable housing is so important to me, and two, also to let you guys know that I empathize with you. And I know sometimes someone may say, well, people can say they understand, but if they've never gone through it, they truly don't understand. So I want to share my personal perspective. So that's the second reason. And thirdly, I want to share with you what qualifies me to talk about all this information and have the knowledge in this industry. So this is what this video is about, and I really hope that it helps someone on this channel. And yeah, that's the hope. So let's get into it. And I'm gonna make a part 2 I'm gonna make a video specifically clarifying student status, but I want this video to be solely about why am I doing this, what qualifies me, and why I empathize with you. So firstly, as I've mentioned in previous videos, when was Superstorm Sandy? I think Superstorm Sandy may have been, I want to say it was 2012. I believe that was the year, but if I'm wrong, someone correct me below. So when Superstorm Sandy happened, as some of you may know, I reside in New York. So when Superstorm Sandy happened, I was impacted by Superstorm Sandy. Pretty much my entire apartment, completely, everything destroyed, right? So I was living in a hotel for about 3 months, and then after that, renovation for my apartment took place. This is not an affordable housing apartment. This is a private house. So renovation took place, and after the 3 months, I was able to move back to my apartment. So as a result of me being impacted by Superstorm Sandy, for the lotteries during that year, during about the 2 years to follow, they had a preference that's called Sandy preference. So just as we have community board preference right now, just as we have like municipal employees and so forth, there was a Sandy preference. So since I was impacted by that, when I applied for a lottery, and honestly, I've been beating myself up to try to remember who told me about affordable housing. I want to say it may have been like, it may have been my college professor when I was in undergrad, but I'm not even sure. For years, I've been trying to remember what led me to apply for that. Or maybe during my process of Sandy, somehow this information got to me. But nevertheless, I applied for affordable housing, got selected, submitted my documents, because again, I had the preference, submitted the documents. At that time, I met the income qualification, and everything. So I gave in my paperwork, super excited, started thinking about furniture. I had a car, so I'm like, oh my God, it was in the city. I remember this so vividly. So the apartment was in Chelsea. So I was like, I may have to sell my car. Or I'm like, well, you know what? Since I'm going to be paying less, I may be able to pay for parking. So my mind was going in all those places, as you could imagine. And I was super excited, already like looked at photos of the building and pretty much envisioned myself there. So I went through that entire process, as most of you do, right? So I got a letter in the mail that I was deemed ineligible for being a full-time student. At that time, this is about October that I received that letter, and at that time I had 2 or 3 months. I was graduating December, so I literally had 2 or 3 months left in school, right? So I wrote a letter, had my employer write a letter saying all these great things about me, and also advised that, you know, I'll be graduating in 2 months. So either way, I never heard back, by the way, and the final determination, or that determination that I received, was just, as I mentioned, that I was ineligible for being a full-time student. So I did submit an appeal, but nothing became of that, right? So I'm sharing that to let you guys know. I see a lot of you talking about the student status, how it impacted your eligibility, or how it impacted you once you became a resident. So I want you to know I empathize with you. Like, I am there because I went through that, and the student status criteria impacted me. At this time, I was not working in the industry, right? So I did not know what I know now. And obviously I was disappointed, as any human would be, right? And so that ended all that. You know, as I said, I was disappointed. But I moved on from it, right? Because I'm always a believer that everything happens for a reason, and I always tell myself what is for me will always be for me, and no one can take that from me. And I've always been more than confident that everything will happen at that point in time, right? So this was maybe about 2013, going into, this is 2013, and I did not get an apartment, had to just deal with the reality of that. But fast forward in 2014, in February 2014, I had the opportunity to start working in the industry, in the affordable housing industry, right? So what happened was, the company that I was working for actually closed in January 2014, and this temp agency reached out to me regarding a administrative opportunity in the affordable housing industry. So at first I was like, oh no, but I'm like, you know what, let me do it. Well, you know, at that point I was not employed. So that was my introduction to the industry. And then I was like, oh, okay, now I'm understanding the process a bit. Like, oh, this is the same process that rejected me, not rejected, deemed me ineligible. So that was my introduction to affordable housing, right? So I started as a temp in an administrative role, and I pretty much worked my way up all the way to like a senior compliance manager. So I've had multiple roles in the industry, and what the aha moment for me, or the full circle moment for me, was that at that point I didn't get the affordable housing unit. I never lived in affordable housing, right? But what God gave me was an opportunity to be in the industry and bless hundreds of family with, you know, helping them through the process in my capacity as a leasing agent. And, you know, that was like a full circle moment for me. That was the moment where I knew I was in the right industry, because it was always so rewarding seeing these families who, a lot of them never believed that this would happen for them. And not only with low income housing, because a lot of my experience was with middle income housing, right? And seeing the gratitude for all those families were just like extremely grateful. That was my moment, right? And I've always told myself that it didn't work out for me to live in one, but now I got the opportunity to be in that industry. And then now, even fast forward, we're about 9 years, right? we lit well, not even 9 years, because we had this platform for about 3 years, right? And fast forward today, here I am on YouTube being able to help so many, even reaching more people. So that was my full circle moment, right? And I said, you know what, this was my purpose. It was my purpose to live in the house, live in the affordable unit, but this was my purpose, right? And God also blessed me, whereas my success in the affordable housing industry has afforded me the opportunity to buy a home, right? So I always say everything works out for your good, right? So a lot of you here, maybe the affordable housing may not be what the higher power wants to bless you with, right? Maybe it is, maybe it's not. But I want everyone to always truly believe what is for them will be for them. And sometimes in the moment we can't see that. It's later on that we get to see that, right? And then I'm so grateful that I get to reflect on it and be like, you know, thank you, God, for allowing me to, you know, still reconnect with what could have been a discouraging experience. Whereas I tell people, oh yeah, don't apply for that and all of that, because it could have been that, but I'm thankful that it wasn't, right? And again, here I am today being able to help so many people. So I'm saying that to say, regardless of what happened in the process, guys, be of good courage, right? Don't get defeated. The reason I'm doing this is to educate you guys about the process, because I am fully aware that there's a lot of misinformation, right? And the primary reason for full transparency, and I believe I've mentioned this before, for full transparency, one of the main reasons I started this channel, because in my years of being in the industry, as a lot of you guys may hear my accent, right? So I'm from the Caribbean, and with my years of being in the industry, I kid you not that I've probably met or processed probably tops two. I could only think of one person, but give and take, say two families that's like Caribbean born, right? And I process a lot of application, whether directly or in the capacity of a reviewer or what have you. But in my personal one-on-one experience, where I did lotteries, I did open market, where that means anyone could apply, and I barely see Caribbean families, right? And that bothered me. And it bothered me so much. Like, I always wondered, why aren't people applying for this? This is such an amazing opportunity, right? And then and this led me to like talking to my friends about it. Every dinner table I'm at, Christmas, what the conversation is affordable housing. And I try to spread the word as much as possible. But it dawned on me, and someone said this to me, and what came to my attention is that there's a lot of misconception about what particularly low-income housing tax credit is, right? And what I noticed, and from just hearing a lot of people, the stigma, right? A lot of Caribbean families are not just a stigma, right? And I'm not saying all, this does not apply to all, because I'm not a person to generalize. But what I realized is that a lot of people classify low-income housing tax credit program as a government assistant, right? And you know, us Caribbean folks, a lot of us like file for our families, and we never want anything to impact that application. So a lot of people would think, it came to my attention that a lot of persons think that this is considered like that you're getting government assistance. And someone also commented that in one of our comments, right? And let me be very clear, low-income housing tax credit program, is you applying and living in a LIHTC unit is not a government subsidy, right? Because the government is not paying your rent, right? These are all tax credit unit that developers are incentivized to get. So that was a misconception that came to my attention, why a lot of people are not applying for that, because they think once you're, sometimes you need like a sponsor when you're doing like filing for someone from the Caribbean. And persons from the Caribbean will understand what I'm saying. This may not be applicable to all, but again, this is a full transparency video, right? So that is one of the things that I found out. And what I know from being a person from the Caribbean, that oftentimes in our culture, and not just us, right? But oftentimes in our culture, someone will tell us something, like, for better wording, our grandparents told our parents a lot of incorrect information that was passed down to us, right? And what I noticed, even in my own family, that so much information is passed down and we just take that information. No one never took the opportunity to actually do a little research to see if this is accurate. So someone will say, oh yeah, don't apply for affordable housing because this and that, and the government's going to be in your business and it's going to impact this and then it's going to impact that. And then that person would just take it and run with it, and they'll tell someone else that, and that person will tell someone else, and guess what? No one applies for it. No one did the research to see if it's accurate or not, right? And this happens so often, and not only in this scenario, but this happens so often that no one ever tried to step out and get information for themselves, right? So I created this channel for me to have a voice, to speak to my fellow Caribbean persons, and not only people from the Caribbean, but other people as well, right? To speak about the process and give you guys more information that may not be listed in the marketing handbook, that may not be somewhere that you could go and get the full scope of things. So that's the reason why I started this channel, to give you all the in-depth, behind the scenes, what to expect information, because I don't want anything to impact you, and I don't want someone else to give you any misinformation and then you take it and just run with it, right? And one person may have had a bad experience with affordable housing. That doesn't mean you're going to have that bad experience. And it doesn't mean that you should not apply because of someone else's bad experience. And for a person that also had a bad experience, that doesn't mean that you should discourage others from applying. What we should do is educate each other, right? Because they say we suffer because of lack of knowledge. And I don't want anyone in our communities to suffer. And that's why every day I'm thinking of what else I could pour into you, what other aspect I could cover. And, with going back to this student status, right? This is a reason I also talk about the before you apply, or when you're applying, and when you get approved, because I want you to know what to expect, and I want you to maintain I want you to continue to be eligible for the program, right? So that's why I try to give the full scope details of everything. And I welcome opinions, right? But I just try not to be a negative person, and I don't like negativity being imposed on others. However, I respect other people's opinion, right? But I just always try to spin it as a positive, and I always try to encourage persons not to think negative or share negative thoughts, because honestly, for a process that's already could be considered so, it's a long process sometimes, right? It could be complex, right? So for a process that already can take a toll on someone, the last thing anyone wants to hear is something negative, because then that's another reason why, see, I'm definitely not going through this, right? I don't want that to happen, and that's the reason we have this community. I probably went on from this video longer than I expected to, but this is why we have this community, right? This is why we talk about these things, and I want to give you all the information that you need so you could be prepared for the next step. So this this is my story. This is why I'm here. As I've mentioned, what qualifies me, I've been in from the receptionist and now being senior compliance manager. So I've done every aspect, the processing, the leasing, the compliance, the administrative, everything, right? And I want to give you the full scope detail. I want to give you the transparency. I want to give you the information that, you know, you're not necessarily going to walk in the office and a leasing agent is going to say, here's the breakdown, right? So that's why I am giving you all that you need. So I want everyone, again, to be of good courage. I want everyone to know that I respect your opinions. I just ask that we keep it positive, because housing is a sensitive topic, right? It's personal. So we have to be so careful with what we say. Housing is personal. So that's why I'm always trying to make a positive spin on it. And I want us to be open to having these conversations without it being negative. So I'm going to do a next video talking about student status. And I think we should do a live to go over a few things about student status, where it's going to be like a panel. Other person could join. They could talk about their experience, and hopefully, you know, their information could also help someone, not discourage them, but help them. Because at least when you have the information, you'll know what to do. So that is my piece. And then the last part, why I'm doing this, my background, I say this all the time, is social work. So we meet people where they are. We're here to serve, right? We're here to pour into others in any way that we can. And I'm so grateful that there is a platform such as YouTube where I'm able to reach so many people at no cost to them, right? So this is such a blessing. And I want you guys to know I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for the community. And we're here for each other, to encourage each other, share information that could benefit us. That's the ultimate purpose of this community. So that was my piece. I hope my story, for all those comments made that I was not in agreement with, I hope this story really let you know that I empathize with you, because I was there, right? Student status impacted me too. I never got the unit, but I'm here today, right? And I could still say good things about affordable housing, because this is a amazing opportunity, and I've seen how much this has blessed so many families. And I will always be an advocate for affordable housing, because it's an amazing opportunity. And like everything else in life, there's criterias, right? Just as you go to qualify for a loan or whatever it is, there's different criterias. But I want to educate you about those criterias so you could see it from a other perspective and have a better understanding of why these measures are put in place. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel, turn on post notification, and I'm expecting full engagement for this student status live that we're gonna do, but I'm gonna drop a brief video first so we have something to discuss. So thank you for watching. I so greatly appreciate you guys. Please invite someone to the channel. Our community is growing, and I want it to continue to grow. I want us to continue to stand in a gap with each other. I want you guys to continue to be of good courage, because that's important with everything you do. Be of good courage and know that all things work together for your good. Even if it doesn't seem good right now, it will work together for your good. Always think positive instead of negative. The same energy it takes to think negative is the same energy it takes to think positive. So why not think positive? All right, guys. So I'll see you in my next video. Thank you for watching. I hope you have an amazing day.